The phrase "have you ever?" No, I've never is overused in NASCAR a lot, but today's a good time for it, because have you ever? No, I've never. Definitely no, I've never. I've never ever seen a 3-wide finish like that, as close like that, dead heat between the three like that, with no drafting help. Yes, I'm excluding 2011 Talladega because those were tandems. Yeah, this one was that's crazy. And so today, lads, you have seen, most likely, we can debate this, the greatest NASCAR finish ever. It's possible. It's a question mark. That's why the title of the video is a question mark. I'm not going to say it's the greatest finish ever, because obviously it just happened like 30 minutes ago. But that was one of the greatest finishes, definitely. It's guaranteed top 5, 80% top 3 chance, and then debatable whether it is number 1 or number 2, up to you guys. We will talk about that later in the video when we get to it. But overall, lads, the race today was interesting, to say the least. At the beginning of the race, I actually didn't think it would be as good as what it actually ended up being. Atlanta is, in a weird way, aging. You can actually see the track aging, and it's only been 2 years. So this was not really anything like last year's race. There was a lot more handling involved, a lot more lifting involved, a lot more strategy involved, because you can't, it's not just another super speedway race. It was a hybrid. It was like a hybrid super speedway. The best thing I could think of, it was like when Daytona, before Daytona was repaved. So when you had bumpy Daytona with the COT cars, with the mid-2000 cars, it kind of reminded me something like that with bigger runs. That's essentially what I was thinking, because you had guys that would clearly fall off throughout a run, and then other guys whose setups are more suited to longer runs, and all that was how it went until the final half of the race, where the sun goes down, the track gets cooler, and then handling becomes less important, grip goes up for everyone, and then it becomes more of a normal modern day super speedway race. So whatever you prefer, whatever you like more, you got both of them. You got a strategical super speedway plate race where it's not 3-wide, 4-wide craziness. It's more, yeah, we gotta manage the tires, we gotta do this, we gotta see what the car is gonna do in a long run. Drivers are lifting, and not lifting to save fuel, they're genuinely lifting because they have to lift in the corners. That was one. And then you have separated packs as well after green flag pit stops. Again, everything like a mid-2000s plate race. And then you have the modern racing, which is basically the final 100 laps, a lot of wrecks, no one giving any inches at all. I mean, everyone's just take. I can't believe I'm saying this. 4-wide racing for a solid 2 laps. I'm not even kidding about that. They were literally 4-wide. And guys, Atlanta is smaller than Daytona in terms of width of the track, and they were going 4-wide, which is insane. And credit to Truex and credit to everyone in those moves that were holding it. 3-wide racing, again, I think if you are a fan of super speedway racing, you might not like super speedway. You might be one of those people that just doesn't like super speedway racing. It doesn't matter if it's Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta, whatever it is. Then maybe you didn't enjoy this. But super speedway racing is special. You don't want to see it every single week, but you want to see it, every now and then. And so you go to a Daytona, you go to Atlanta. The next one will not be until Talladega, which is in April or May, whenever Talladega is. So again, it's not like it's every week. This is still like a different style of racing, and I think today was everything you could want. What I'm seeing, at least on Twitter, is that everyone they're saying this race is not going to be topped. This is race of the year as race number 2. I'm not going to go that far. I still think it can be topped, but this is definitely going to be in the top 3 of most race fans for the greatest race of the season, and then it's in the top 3 for the greatest finish of all time. Again, we will get to that. So let's talk about a little bit of the race, because there are a lot of guys that got caught up in the big one on lap 2, and this is actually, I'm going to say this is a positive of the next-gen car. So this wreck happens on lap 2, and when you look back on it, a majority of the guys involved in this wreck were fine. And obviously the guy that ended up winning the race, and Daniel Suarez, was involved in this wreck. So this is the good thing about the next-gen car. There were a lot of wrecks today that in any other car in NASCAR history, you're done. I mean, there's just the hit that Denny Hamlin had when I think it was the Logano block, or was it something else? I think it was the Logano block that Hamlin got caught up in. But that hit would DNF you, bust a radiator open or something. And in this one, he didn't even pit. The 11 team didn't even pit. They were like, yeah, we might have knocked the nose in a little bit. who cares? Stay out. Car's fine. These cars are tanks. These cars are genuine tanks. So it gives positives and negatives. At super speedway racing, positive. You can crash, and unless you damage a toe link or you get stuck or something, you hit pretty hard, you're fine. You could literally drive through the wreck, bounce it off like a pinball. You're fine. Doesn't matter. Then you go to Martinsville, and then you realize, oh, wait, I can't do a bump and run. I can't do this. The dirty air is terrible. All right, this is not that great. So, again, positives and negatives, pros and cons. At short tracks, this car, not the greatest. At super speedways, it's a tank. And because it's a tank, you can kind of go race harder, not be involved in as much risk. Because even if you crash, like Chase Elliott crashed 4 times today. I don't even know how many times he crashed. He literally wrecked 3 or 4 times. He was fine. He ended up finishing the race in the lead lap, I think. Everything was okay, So, yeah, these things are tanks. It is what it is. A lot of the wrecks were, in my opinion, racing incidents. It was mainly air. Air was just moving all over the place. You try to switch your lane in the corner, and the air is just going to fluctuate all over the place. And, again, that might you can maybe say that's a negative of this car, is just how aero dependent it is. But in another way, in my opinion, guys, I don't think that's the case. I stand by that. I think the drivers have a lot of power in this car in terms of, you can make this move if you want. You don't have to, but you can. We were giving you the option to do this. If you want to do this on lap 20, you can do it. If you want to wait till lap 200, you can do it. So it's like, okay, that's kind of cool. It's not like, my one negative of mid-2000s plate racing is I thought if you had a dominant car like Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, whatever, if you didn't have that car, how are you going to win? And in my opinion, like, how are you going to beat Gordon in 2005 at a lot of plate tracks? How are you going to beat Dale Earnhardt Jr. in DEI from 2001 to 2004? You weren't going to even get near them. You didn't have a chance. Just because their car was faster, he would literally pull away from you in the middle of the corner. In this package, you don't have that. Everyone can kind of go do what they want. They have the speed and the power to do as they please. You can save fuel if you want. You can push 100% if you want. You can get a run as easy as day, and you can make it 3 wide on lap 3 if you want. So that's what I like, is that it puts it in the driver's hands, and it's up to the drivers to be responsible in terms of making the moves. And so, for example, Joey Logano, final lap of stage 2, he could have just stayed on the bottom. It was like a 7-car pack. He would have still gotten stage points. He tries to block, get back in line, I think in a 4th or 5th in line on the outside line. Just there's no room for that. Buescher's run was too much. Puts Buescher in the wall. Logano gets tight, goes up into the wall. So again, that's not NASCAR's fault. That's not the car's fault. But Logano got aero tight, right? Well, he's trying to slide up in the middle of the corner. Of course he's going to get aero tight. This is not Talladega, like it's not Talladega where you can just always keep it flat-footed. This is Atlanta. It's a different type of plate track. At the end of a stage, your tires are worn. You can't just do that and expect your car to stick. And you block the guy behind you, put him in the wall. That is a negative consequence. That's a consequence of your action. Logano's out of the race. So I think that's kind of cool. This racetrack, I've not been completely sold on Atlanta since it's turned into this. But this race was pretty damn cool. Now it's going to see how does the track age. If it continues to age in a way where it can be full speed super speedway plate racing, but it also can be Atlanta's own version of super speedway racing, which is, hey, you have to lift. Hey, this is like Daytona before it was repaved. It's not bumpy, but you got to lift. You got to, handling's a big deal. Then Atlanta will be its own thing. It will be separate from every other track on the circuit. And it will be different from Daytona and Talladega, where it's classified as Daytona and Talladega now. It's its own thing. And that's the biggest thing a track can do, is become its own thing, become unique. So that's why I think this race was massive for them. Let's talk about the end of the race. Again, 4 wide racing, crashes. There were so many wrecks that I'm not going to get involved in all of them. We're talking about, like I said, Elliott spinning 4 times. Briscoe involved in wrecks. Kyle Busch causing one when he was a lap down and then getting the lucky dog. I was actually a little bit surprised NASCAR gave him the lucky dog for that, because he was indirectly involved in the wreck, but he still got the lucky dog, so he gets the free pass and stuff, and just a lot more. But we're here to talk about the end of the race. It's already been 9-10 minutes that we're in this video. Let's talk about the end of the race. Coming off of turn 4, you have literally a 3-wide battle coming to the start finish line, and it's like I said, this car gives the drivers the option. So let's take out Ryan Blaney on the back straightaway, right? Replace Ryan Blaney with Ross Chastain. Do you think Kyle Busch, Daniel Suarez, and Ross Chastain are making it through 3 and 4? In my opinion, no. I think Ross Chastain will block that run by Kyle Busch. Blaney's in the lead, and he doesn't fully block Kyle Busch. The biggest reason why this finish could happen, guys, is because I think the drivers finally realized, hey, I do need to block, yes, but maybe in this situation where the run is so big, I might as well just hold my line. And that's kind of what Blaney did. He thought about blocking, but the gap between Suarez and Blaney was wide enough to where Kyle Busch can stick it through, and again, credit to Suarez for giving Kyle Busch the room and not squeezing him down. I think one negative of this plate package that we've seen is that there's too many wrecks in the final lap or the final 2 laps or the final 3 laps. It's too much chaos, too many wrecks, and that's because drivers feel like the car puts them in a negative situation. But what we saw today is you don't technically have to block. Like, you can still, with the side drafting, come to the start finish line in a side-by-side finish, and you could let it decide there. Blaney was I don't have the gap. Let's see if I can find the gap. Okay, so it's 3 1,000ths of a second. Ryan Blaney was 3 1,000ths of a second from winning this race. He didn't block. He didn't, like, ruin his race in the back straightaway. He was a side draft here or there, a luck, God just deciding which car who wins, away from winning that race. And I thought that was really cool. That was my biggest takeaway from that finish, was that not blocking is what created it. And then the guys, again, not really driving into each other. They kind of, I feel like once they all came out of turn 4, Kyle Busch had a really crazy perspective on it. He was like, well, coming out of turn 4, you want to be in last, whoever you're side by side with, because you will then side draft your way up to the line. And that's crazy. I thought they were just going wide open and just letting the side draft gods decide their fate, because how are you going to side draft when you're 3 wide? It's kind of like you do what you do. But Kyle Busch was actively trying to come out of turn 4 in last, without giving up too much momentum. And I think Suarez in the top lane ended up coming out third, between Blaney, him, and Busch. And so Suarez ends up winning by literally 3 1,000ths of a second. I thought Blaney won it. I thought coming through that little, coming to the line, I thought Blaney won it. And then it said Suarez on the leaderboard, and I was like, oh, that's much closer than I thought. And then you can see the pictures and everything. It's literally as close as it gets. 3 1,000ths of a second. Off the top of my head, I think, it's what? 2016 Daytona 500. How close was that? 2 1,000, something like that. Obviously, 2003 Darlington. That is close. And then 2011 Talladega. Was 2011 Talladega 1 1,000ths or 2 1,000ths? I think it was 2 1,000ths. I think I just remember Darrell Waltrip saying 2 1,000ths of a second or something like that. But those are like the closest finishes in NASCAR history. And this one was definitely up there. And again, congratulations to Daniel Suarez. And now we could honestly talk about, let's talk about the race results first. Let's pull up the race results before we get into the historical factor of this. Suarez, Blaney, Kyle Busch, Cindric, Bubba Wallace, Stenhouse, Chastain, McDowell, Buescher, and Ty Gibbs round out the top 10. And again, a lot of these guys, some of them had clean days, some of them didn't. There were a lot of wrecks going on throughout the race. Harrison Burton, Truex, LaJoy, Kaz Grala, Chase Elliott, in 15th, Ryan Preece, Byron, Hemrick, Carson Hocevar, and Haley. Hocevar literally got lifted up on 3 wheels in one of the wrecks late in the race. William Byron got involved with Michael McDowell heading down pit lane. McDowell kind of locked up the rear wheels, hit Byron, who was just there. Very bad luck. And again, these cars are tanks. Byron hits the wall basically head on, and it's like, car's fine. Cool. We just keep moving on. It's like, the cars are tanks. That's all I can say. John Hunter Nemechek in 21st. Austin Dillon and the rest of the field. Denny Hamlin was involved in a self-spin early in the race. He was involved in the Logano incident when he was 3rd in line. Just involved in a bunch of stuff, and so it was a chaotic race from basically start to finish. The rest of the results, you can see big names like, Joey Logano. Alex Bowman was involved in the first wreck on lap 2. Kyle Larson was involved in incidents as well. Christopher Bell, incident on lap 2. So you guys can get the gist of that. It was a chaotic race. I think the normal season starts next week, right? You get Daytona and Talladega, not Daytona, Talladega, Daytona and Atlanta out of the way. You start the normal regular season next season, and then you kind of go into like the little, When do we get to the playoffs? Because that's basically it. Real quick note on Daniel Suarez. This is massive for him because obviously we don't see Daniel Suarez as a championship favorite. We don't even see Daniel Suarez as winning races on a consistent basis. I think this year he really needed to make the playoffs and maybe even make it to the round of 8, in my opinion. Like, can you make it with 4 races to go while still in the championship hunt? That would be really crucial for you. So now he doesn't have to worry about that pressure of, trying to figure out points or, winning a race or anything. He already has it in the bag. He's into the playoffs. That will relieve a lot of pressure off that team because that's not one of the teams that you would assume will just lock themselves in. So that maybe we'll see a better version of Suarez throughout the rest of the season because it's a big deal, guys. Racing without the pressure on your shoulders, you're able to just be free. It's like having confidence in any sport. If you have confidence, and if you're not thinking, then you just perform better. So that's essentially what that team's going to be able to do for the rest of the regular season. So we'll see. A very important win for him. Now let's talk about the historical nature of this finish. So I want you guys to comment down below. What do you think? Is this the greatest finish of all time? I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm going to say no. I'm not going to say it's the greatest. I'm going to put it at either 2 or 3. I'd have to think a little bit harder of where I would put it. It's definitely top 3. 100% this finish is top 3. This race, if it's not 95% above with a yes, is this a good race on Jeff Gluck's poll, then I don't really know what you want from it. So, yeah, this is going to be one of the best races of the season. Probably one of the best races, maybe the best race of the next-gen era. Yeah, it's probably like that. Is it the best finish of all? Is it the greatest finish in NASCAR history? I would not do that. I have, in order, the way I can think of it, I have 2003 Darlington will forever and always, in my opinion, remain number 1. I don't see how you beat 2003 Darlington because it's not just the finish to the start-finish line, which is 1/1000th of a second. It's the 5 laps before that of how bad the cars were driving. The commentary of Darrell Waltrip saying, nah, it's driving good. It's that historical nature of like, hey, what's NASCAR? You just show them the last 5 laps of that 2003 Darlington race, and you just say, yeah, this is it. I'm not going to go in the future and say, hey, what's NASCAR? I'm going to show them this finish. I'm always going to show people 2003 Darlington. Like, that's forever and always going to be, in my opinion, the greatest finish of all time. I don't see how you beat it. It has everything, literally everything. Tire wear, cars slipping and sliding, beating and banging, side-by-side finish, closest of all time. It has literally everything you could want in a finish. So I'm not going to jump the gun and say this is better than that. Something, maybe replicate that finish for a championship, like a 1v1 championship battle. That's the only way I could see it getting beaten. Is like you have to replicate that in a championship race format. Like that's the only way, in my opinion. Second and third. So these two, in my opinion, are swappable. It's between this race today and, in my opinion, 2007 Daytona 500. Not 2011 Talladega, not 2016 Daytona 500. I'm putting 2007 Daytona 500 because 2007 Daytona 500, really good race. The light bulbs, prime NASCAR. 2007, Kevin Harvick, Mark Martin coming to the line, Clint Bowyer flipping on the hood. The view of them coming to the tri-oval with everyone wrecking behind them. It's not one of the closest finishes in NASCAR history, but it's one of the most iconic finishes for the biggest race of the sport. So that right now, in my opinion, it's between those two. If I had a gun in my head, I had to pick, I would put this race at number 3, and I would put 2007 Daytona 500 at number 2. And the only reason I would do that is because it's the Daytona 500. It's like I said, the occasion means a lot. This is the second race of the season, regular season race, Atlanta. It's not a big spectacle. That's the Daytona 500. You know what I mean? So the Daytona 500 is the Daytona 500. That's the race everyone wants to win. So I feel like that enhances that finish. And then I would put this third, and then honorable mentions will be like 2011 Talladega with the tandem drafting, the one that Jimmy Johnson won, 2016 Daytona 500, 2005 between Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards, and then there's like so many other finishes I can't even think off the top of my head. If you want to think more of modern day, maybe Larson and Kyle Busch at Chicagoland, you guys remember that. So those kind of races is what I'm trying to think about. But nothing's ever topping 2003 Darlington for me. That's the greatest finish of all time. So that's just my opinion. You guys can leave your opinion down in the comment below. Overall today, guys, it's a good day for NASCAR because they have footage to use for the rest of the season. You can already see the playoff promos basically be like, oh, these drivers have to win the championship. They're going to put that finish as the last shot. You can come back to this video in September. I promise you right now. In the promos that when NASCAR promotes their NASCAR playoffs, the final shot you see before they promote whatever race they're promoting will be the finish to this race. That's what they're going to use. Atlanta will use it God knows how long for the next, 20 years, as long as the racetrack remains how it is. They got promotional footage for days. So it's a good day for NASCAR, and hopefully we will get better races and keep going. It's the season's off to a good start. Daytona 500 was great. This race, everyone absolutely loves, including myself. Let's see what the rest of the season holds. What will the next gen car do at short tracks? We still have that issue that we're gonna have to come upon in the season, so we will see. Guys, leave your comments down below. Do you agree with me? Is this the greatest finish of all time? I put it third. 2007 Daytona 500 second. 2003 Darlington in first. Let me know if you guys agree with that. I will see you guys tomorrow for another video. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your evening. As you guys know, it is my birthday. I made this whole video without mentioning it's my birthday. So if you made it to the end of this video and you notice it's my birthday, then you're a true fan. Thank you. And so I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. I'm old. Don't mention it. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.